Why what?
Why is the countdown?
It counts down to tell you that the video is about to start. So it's a countdown of just the anticipation that is about to start streaming.
Yeah, and my monster game is about to start.
Yeah, so we should be streaming live now. So it was just letting us know. It was letting us know that the video stream was beginning. So now we'll make sure it's all working now. Now we got to check on everything, make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to, and then we're going to start talking to the people. Now it's people coming in. Can you say good morning to the people over there?
Good morning.
And you see the little hearts?
Yeah.
I think the hearts are going to come up on the side of the screen right there. And you see how the words are coming up on the screen?
Cool.
This is people are seeing us. See the hearts? Look.
Oh, where?
Right there. Right there where hearts just came up. See right there?
Yeah.
See? Locations in the comments, folks. Put your locations in the comments. My son is now apprenticing. We call this being an apprentice. Do you know what that is?
No.
No? The apprentice is when you're going to watch what I'm doing and you're going to shadow me and you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to do this. Because in about, let's see, you're 3 years old. So maybe 14 or 15 years, you can take over and you can be doing these live streams instead of me.
Who?
You.
You.
No, you.
No, you. No, you.
I'm doing them already. So we're going to have you take over. You can take over the process. Now you watch me, and then you're going to learn exactly what I'm doing and how I do it. Then you can do it like me. What do you think? See, we can hear ourselves a little bit. So this over here is going to be LinkedIn. Over there is Instagram. Can you say good morning to Instagram? Can you say good morning to Instagram? They're over here.
Hi, Instagram.
And over here is LinkedIn. Can you say good morning to LinkedIn?
I like them.
And over here is, why does this light keep cutting up? Now one of my lights is acting up. This is Facebook. Say good morning to Facebook.
Hi, Facebook.
And this is Facebook / Work on Your Game University. And we are live on Rumble. Say hi to Rumble and YouTube and X.
Where's X?
X is right here. I'm pulling it up on my phone just to make sure it's live. You see? Can you see you? Look, you see you right there?
Yeah. But I can't see you.
I'm right there. You're right there.
Oh, it's lighter again.
Yeah, something's up with my light. I got to fix my spotlight, my ring light here. For some reason, it keeps cutting up. So this is X. We are live on X. We are live on Rumble, YouTube, and over here is TikTok. Yes.
I keep doing it.
Yeah, we're going to fix it. Let me fix that right here. So can you talk to the people for a minute while I fix the light?
Yeah.
Okay. You talk to them and tell them what's going on. Tell them what's happening.
Welcome to the Megalodon charts.
Let's see.
Welcome to the Megalodon weights.
Good morning, everybody. As y'all coming in, locations in the comments. Give me your locations in the comments. Locations in the comments. Tell me where you are checking in from. We are live on all the places that we need to be live. Let me make sure we are. As y'all coming in, give me your locations in the comments and make sure we're live everywhere we're supposed to be live here. And see, we got to do all this. All this is part of the setup, son. We have to make sure everything's working properly every day when we do these because we're live on.
Make sure the light doesn't flicker again.
That's right. Also, we got to make sure the lights work. So the lights have to be working. The internet has to be working. All of these platforms have to work. All the streams have to work. And then we got to actually deliver and give these people something for their. The platforms are all these different screens you see. These are all platforms. So TikTok is a platform. Do you see that? What was that? Oh, it was a heart. So all these are different platforms. So TikTok's a platform. Instagram's a platform. LinkedIn is a platform. Facebook's a platform. X is a platform. YouTube's a platform. And Rumble's a platform. So we're on 7 different platforms. So that's what this is. These are all called platforms.
But what about the book platform?
Books are a platform, but we're here to talk on video to the people. Give me your locations in the comments, folks. We're live on Rumble, live on YouTube, live on X, live on LinkedIn at Dre All Day. They gave you one too. Yeah. at Dre all day on those platforms. Facebook / Work on Your Game University. Instagram at Dre Baldwin. TikTok at Work on Your Game. Today we are talking about Diddy. P. Diddy. P. Diddy got 50. Not 50 cents, 50 months. 50 months incarceration. As y'all are coming in, shout yourselves out. Let me shout out a few people in the comments, and we are going to get into it. So you see all these words coming up? These are people saying hello to us. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Good to see you in here. Anna Cruz, shout out to you for the gifted badge. Kuya Ben, yeah, shout out. Lady Ra, your phone up to see. Let me move it up so that you don't fall off. Courtney, good morning. 140.6 Walnut Creek. Amber Johnson from Omaha, Nebraska. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit's in the building. Kuya Benya, shout out. Manson, North Carolina. Marky Man, not on the keyboard. Marky Man from Sacramento. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. Giga Dad, good morning from North Carolina. Good morning. Michelle, good morning. Lady Rod, good morning. Maria Lopez, good morning. Texas Queen Mom from Texas. Frederick Sullivan, Waynesville, Missouri. Grand Rapids. Maria Lopez from New York City. Shout out to New York. Shout out to Manhattan. Kim Bruce, thank you for the share. Lady Rod from Little Rock, Arkansas. Texas Queen Mom, thank you for the heart. Maria, thank you. Lucky said, are you on babysitting duty today? No, I'm not a babysitter. I'm a parent. This is parenting duty. It's not babysitting. Yes.
Your water looks a bit full, but it's not that full.
Yeah, it's all the way full. It's all the way filled up. But make sure you don't touch that because that can fall. And that's a glass bottle. It can break. And Grammatico, good morning. Usher, thank you. User, not Usher. Kim Bruce, Lincoln, California. Angela, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Lucky Penguin said that's some judicial corruption. In which direction? That he got as much, he didn't get enough, or he got too much. Paco 78, good morning. We're going to talk about that, though. We're going to get into that in a moment. Michelle checking in from South Philly. Shout out to South Philly. Shout out to South Street. Shout out to Passyunk. Shout out to Jim Steaks on South Street. Shout out to Society Hill as well. Turner said, well said, parents aren't babysitters. That's correct. And Grammatico checking in from Florida. Good morning. Lacey River, Vancouver, Washington. Darren Beach. You like the tie? Thank you. And Grammatico say he didn't get enough. We'll talk about that. Angie Tidwell from Texas. Shout out to Texas. Texas is heavy in here. So what we're talking about here today, you already heard me say that. P. Diddy, he got 50, not 50 years, 50 months. So he got sentenced on Friday to 4 years and 2 months. That's 50 months. 4 years and 2 months in federal prison after he got convicted earlier this summer. We know he got convicted. We talked about that in, when was that, like early June. But then the court date for his actual sentencing that's June, July, August, September. So he had to wait 4 months just to get sentenced. So this is another reason why I tell you all, stay out of the court system. You want to stay out of the judicial system because so P. Diddy gets charged with a crime. He beats 3 of the 5 counts. He gets convicted on 2. Then after you get convicted, you got to sit in jail for another 4 months before they tell you how much time you got to do in jail, how much time you got to do in prison. So technically he's in jail right now. Okay, relax. Technically he's in jail right now. Now he has to do prison time. He's going to do 50 months in prison time. I think they're factoring in not on the keyboard. Okay, relax. Don't put it on the keyboard because that can mess up the stream, okay? We want people to see us and hear us. So he got 50 months of prison time. Okay. This is what happens. They can be calm for a few minutes, then this starts to occur. So after he got convicted earlier this summer, now there was an emotional courtroom atmosphere. We won't ever get the full brunt of the understanding of that simply because they did not allow cameras in the courtroom. So all you get is the pictures, the sketches by the artists who do the drawings, and you get the reporters telling you what got said. But we'll never actually get to see it with our own eyes because you can't bring cameras into these federal courtrooms. So what we're going to talk about here today is the broader reckoning over this, what some people call celebrity accountability, whether people think he got enough accountability in this situation, whether people think he didn't get enough accountability. Again, the jury had already found him guilty of, what he got found guilty was 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which are violations under the Mann Act. I wasn't even a big fan of what he got convicted of, honestly, but some of you were, and the court is the court. He went to court, and this is why you don't go to court. He got acquitted on the more serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. And at sentences, prosecutors were asking for 11 years for Diddy. So at the sentencing on Friday, prosecutors said to the judge, we want y'all to give Diddy, we want you, judge, to give Diddy 11 years in prison because he could have got 20. Yes.
You gotta
Yeah, be careful with your fingers. I don't want you to hit the microphone. So the charges that he got convicted of carry a 10-year maximum each. So he could have got 20 years total. Maximum each. The prosecutors asked for 11 years total. I'm explaining it. Listen. They asked for 11 years total. They wanted him to get 11. The defense lawyers, they were trying to get Diddy to go home today, of course, with time served. His time served is already about a year, about 13 months. And the federal judge, for those of you who don't understand how these things work, federal judges have about as much leeway to make decisions as the man upstairs. Like, there's God, then there's a federal judge. They can do whatever they want. So he could have gave Diddy as much time as he wanted to for whatever reason he wanted to, and it ain't much you can do about it. That's the situation. That's the situation that.
Come way back with a scary dinosaur.
Okay, hurry up. So that's the situation. At sentencing, again, I told you 11 years they asked for. They cited a pattern of control, abuse, and coercion. That's what their argument is that this guy, over the years, he's had a pattern of being controlling, abusive, and coercive of the women that he's dealt with. Therefore, he needs to be. You want to come up here? Therefore, he needs his comeuppance in the form. Be careful that you don't bring that against anything on the table, okay? And don't let that make too much noise because then people can't hear what I'm saying. Okay. So this is the argument that they're saying. Let me say those terms again. Control, abuse, and coercion. While the defense begged for just 14 months, that's the time he's already served. In other words, Diddy would walk out of jail today because he already served 14 months. You would add in the time he's already spent in jail. That factors into his sentence. So he got 50 months, but he's already served 14. So he's actually going to get about 36. So Diddy actually has to spend about 3 more years incarcerated, and then he's out. That's the situation right now. And what his defense attorneys pointed to was Diddy's philanthropy, his previous clean record. He actually does not have any other convictions, and his efforts at rehabilitation. That's what the defense says. Now, his victims, Cassie and Jane, that's 50 Cent's baby mom, called quote unquote Jane, they submitted impact statements describing years of manipulation, years of trauma. Combs did a apology. I don't know if he cried on the stand. We didn't see it, so he did get to speak. It's the first time he's spoken the whole time. So sitting on trial and all these things being said about you, he didn't actually take the stand and talk at all. So he finally did speak. He said he was broken to his core. He hates himself right now. You know all the stuff that you say when you're caught red-handed. And as far as Diddy goes, one thing I would say against Diddy, as far as him standing on, getting up and speaking to the court on Friday when he was sentenced, was that when the video first came out of him beating up Cassie at the hotel elevators, he immediately came out. Y'all may remember this. He came out immediately because the video came out. People were like, oh my God, did he beat up Cassie? No, actually, before the video came out, Cassie comes out with the lawsuit. In the lawsuit, she says Diddy did this and this and this and all the things. He was very abusive, et cetera, et cetera. It was a normal lawsuit that goes against a famous person. Diddy immediately came out and said, all of this is just a shakedown, just somebody trying to get money out of me. I'm going to fight this and I'm going to defend my name and defend my honor, et cetera, et cetera. You know what famous people say anytime they get sued. This is what Diddy said, that this is just a shakedown for money. I deny all allegations in this lawsuit. All of this is false. Then like 2 days later, the video comes out showing him beating up Cassie in the elevator. And what is this? So I got a warning on TikTok, but I didn't even do anything. So I don't know what they're talking about. So TikTok gave me a warning. It says reason, then there's an empty space. So I don't know what I did on TikTok. TikTok, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. So video comes up of the abuse in the elevator. Then Diddy comes out the next day with a statement. Y'all may remember he posted this. I saw it on Instagram. Like, hey, I know it's messed up what I did. I'm not asking for forgiveness. It's terrible. I had to go get therapy. I was at rock bottom, et cetera. So he put that video out after the video showing that something that was alleged in that lawsuit did actually happen, that Diddy was physically abusive. Then after that, of course, you get the avalanche, the raiding of his houses by the feds, and then we end up with this case. So Diddy coming out and saying that he's broken to his core and he hates himself right now can be taken with a grain of salt because of what he did when that Cassie video came out. Because I think he didn't think that video was ever going to come out. Because according to what we know in the court case, he paid somebody for that footage. He paid someone off for the footage. Again, let me rehash those you don't remember. This was told during the case. This is a guy who testified. That hotel, I believe it was Beverly Hills some hotel in Beverly Hills. Diddy is having one of those freak off parties. Cassie's involved. She tries to run away from the freak off. Diddy comes and grabs her. You see he was in a towel in the video. All y'all saw the video where he was beating up Cassie, right? So he comes running out down the hallway with a towel, grabs Cassie, a towel, abuses her a little bit more, drags her back to the hotel room. That video is damning evidence, even though that's not even what he was charged with. But it matters because I'm gonna bring that back up later on here today. Video comes out, and at that time, the guy who was working security, he's the one who filmed it. Let's see. He had a video of a video, so he's watching the security cameras. He sees that. He pulls his phone out. He films it. Diddy finds out that this guy had filmed it. He calls the guy. He gets in touch with the guy, and he says, "I'll pay you." I believe the number was $50,000. I'll pay you $50,000 for that footage to get rid of it. And Diddy paid the guy $50,000. The guy took the $50,000. So they take the $50,000. Him and one of his, hey, no, don't do that. He and his guy split the money up, and they got their bread. They get called on the stand during the trial, and he tells a story of how they split the money up. But the guy kept the footage somehow, some way. Diddy paid him to get rid of the footage. He didn't get rid of the footage. So Diddy basically got played there and spent $50,000 for nothing. Had that footage not come out, this is something that I maintained from the beginning of this trial. Had that footage of Diddy's abuse not come out, he would not have gone on trial. This trial would not have happened. Even though he wasn't even on trial for that, what happened in that video. That video created the momentum that gave the feds and everybody else enough energy to say, put this guy on trial. Even though there were plenty of stories about him out for years. I don't even think Cassie would have, I don't even know if that lawsuit would have the lawsuit did. He did pay her off. But I don't think the feds would have came with anything if they didn't have that footage. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, the judge, this man named Arun, A-R-U-N, Subramanian, he acknowledged the apologies by Diddy, but he emphasized that Diddy's past good behavior could not erase the harm done. He cited the video evidence, i.e. the Cassie video. The only video evidence was the Cassie video and the freak-off videos that were shown in court that none of us got to see. The bruises on the girls, the broken doors, and never did he kick down somebody's door, and the need for deterrence. In other words, we need to make an example of you to show everybody else that you can't do what you're doing. This is what the judge say out of his mouth. So he get this sentence. He also got to pay a fine for $500,000, and he has 5 years of supervised release. In other words, once he gets out, he got to report to what do they call it? Like an officer, probation officer, stuff like that. And he gets credit for the 13 months he's already done. Now, his defense claims they're going to appeal. And what they say is that the judge acted like a 13th juror, quote unquote. There's no such thing as a 13th juror. There are 12 jurors. They said the judge acted like a 13th juror by injecting elements of coercion despite the acquittals. Okay. Everybody got all that? That's the background here of what we're talking about. So let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks, run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is to help you weaponize discipline and performance through systems to produce results. That's what we do. Drawing from my background as an athlete, how do we turn this into same level of measurable, consistent success in the professional and the business world? You can learn more about that and working with me by going to the links that you see in my profile or bio or pinned comment on whichever app you're watching me on right now. Please get the likes up, everybody. We got 13,000 likes. Let's get the likes up. We do 100,000 likes a day over here. So get the likes up so we can get to that 100K in likes. If you're watching on TikTok, tap the screen and like the live. Let me pull out my soundboard because we need y'all to tap the screen and like the live. What is this? Oh, here it is.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Like the live, everybody.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
So, first of all, let's just address number one. I already told y'all, I don't think this case happens without that video. That video in the hotel. Even though that happened in the state of California, that would have to be a state charge. Diddy's case was a federal charge. All right, he got charged by the feds for what happened in this situation. And the defense attorney saying that the judge acted as a 13th juror, I think they have some solid ground to stand on in saying what they said. Why? Because the judge said that one of the reasons that he needed to sentence Diddy the way that he sentenced him. Let me see again what he said. He said he acknowledged the apologies, could not erase the harm done, citing video evidence, again, video evidence, bruises, broken doors, and a need for deterrence. Now, let's again remember, what did Diddy get convicted of? What Diddy was convicted of, and this is the key thing here, and this is the reason why Diddy should appeal. 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. That's what he got convicted of. Transportation to engage in, I don't even think that's what he did. If you look at the case, Diddy is running a business. So when he's running a business, he's moving around from New York to Miami, Miami to LA, and he's going around to these different places. And in the process of him doing these things, he's bringing his girlfriends with him, and he's engaging in these sexual behaviors, but they were all involved. The men were involved. The women were involved. They willingly did it. Some of them are saying, well, I was coerced, so I was afraid to get away from him, et cetera, et cetera. While at the same time, he's financing their lifestyles. We talked about this already. I talked about this in the last time we talked about the Diddy case. And how they even got him convicted on this is, I believe, this is just a make good conviction. And what I mean by that is, I think the jury believes and the general public believes that Diddy did do some bad things. Therefore, let's get him convicted on whatever, just as a catch-all for all the things that we know he probably did wrong. How many of y'all agree with that? Give me a yes or a no. What do you think about that? Give me a yes or no if you agree with that. I think, let me say again what I'm saying. I think this is a catch-all conviction. That they believe Diddy did some stuff. They may not have the absolute proof of the exact stuff he did, and they couldn't charge him with the exact stuff because you got to have evidence in court. I think they said, all right, let's just get him on something. All right, so they got him on this. Same way they got, how they convict John Gotti. All right. It wasn't even because of the bodies. So they got him because of, not even John Gotti. It wasn't John Gotti. It was Al Capone. But they get him on tax evasion. Now, is that really what they wanted him for? Not really. It was just a catch-all. Let's just get him for that. All right, that's good enough. All right, get him in jail one way or another. So the judge is saying video evidence, coercion, control, and abuse. But he didn't get convicted on any of those things. He got convicted for 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. There's no video evidence of that. There is no, I'm trying to get back to there's no video evidence of that. There is no, I don't see that as abuse. And I guess he can use the coercion part. And the defense is saying he acted as a 13th juror. And here's why they have a leg to stand on in saying so. Is because the judge is saying, even though you're convicted on these things over here, I'm going to use all the stuff that got used in this trial, even the stuff that didn't get you convicted. I'm going to use that as part of my consideration as to how much of a sentence you get. I'm not feeling that, but I understand. This is the way it works in court, by the way. Judges have a whole lot of power in court. Actually, they got all the power in court. And this is why I will say for the 300th time since we've been talking about this Diddy case, you don't want to go to court. You want to stay out of court because judges, especially federal judges, they have as much, they can say whatever they want. They can make whatever decision they want, regardless of the recommendation of the attorneys, prosecutors, or the defense. So the judge is watching this whole case. Did he get charged with 5 things? He beats 3. He gets convicted of 2. Now it's time for sentencing. The judge says, I'm going to sentence you based on all of the evidence that got presented, regardless of what you actually got convicted of. I would say that that's some bullshit, but you can't really say that because a federal judge has the power to do whatever they want in their courtroom. This is what happened to Diddy. This is why he got 50 months. In 50 months, some could say that it wasn't enough. How many of you think Diddy got enough? Yes, that this was just and fair. How many of you think it was not enough? Put no. Do you think Diddy got enough of a sentence? Should he gotten more? Or give me a more, less, about right? What do you think? So I see a too much. I see a whole bunch of no's. So a bunch of you think he should have got more? Y'all think he should have got more? The prosecution recommended 11 years. How many years? What do y'all think Diddy should have got? Those of you saying no, how much should he have gotten? Give me your estimate. He could have got 20. Prosecution recommended 11. How much could he have gotten? So prosecution said give him 11, judge. The actual legal, what's on paper said he could have got 20. He got 4. So how much should he have gotten? So I'm seeing a couple 20s. I see an 8 to 10. I see a time served. So I mean, he should have walked out of court today or Friday. I see a 14 months. So that's time served. I see a 10. So I'm seeing a bunch of double digits here. I see 4 or 5 years and more was more than just and appropriate. So I'm seeing some time served, and I'm seeing a whole bunch of 10s. So there's a big gap here. So some of you are saying let him walk today. A bunch of you are saying give him 10 years. Basically, you're trying to bury him there because Diddy's probably in the late 50s, maybe mid 50s. And yeah, I'm not seeing any 6, 7s, and 8s. I saw maybe one. So I'm seeing a bunch of 10s and up, and I'm seeing walk away now. He's going to do 3 years, Joey. He's going to do about 3. So he got 4 years and 2 months. He's already given 14 months in court. He's already been in jail for 14 months. So you just subtract that, and it comes out to, he's got about 36 months left. So that's 3 years. X amount says 20 with credit for time served. Well, that's 20 more years. He's in his mid 50s. He might not be able to see that. So he's 55. Yeah. So he's looking at close to age 60 when he gets out. So let's talk about this. Let's talk more about this. The convictions were specific, not sweeping. He was convicted of only 2 counts, which I already said. And he was cleared of the racketeering. He was cleared of trafficking, showing that the jury distinguished between the spectrum of allegations. So the acquittals underscore the gap between the rumors and the legally proven charges. Do I think Diddy did some of the stuff that he hasn't been charged with? Probably. Yeah, probably. But the way the court of law works is you got to prove it. You're innocent until proven guilty. That's the way it is in America. You got to prove it. So the public conflation is real. A lot of people in the public, as I'm seeing many of you saying, especially females, I've seen this, especially females, do not like the fact that he got only what is essentially, let's just say 4 years here. What he got was a 4-year sentence. He's already been in jail for a year. So it's basically a 3-year sentence. A lot of people think that he should have gotten more because the public sentiment around Diddy is that this guy's been committing crimes and doing bad things and using his power and his money and his leverage for, 30 years to basically do whatever he wants to do and getting away with it. It's only now that he finally got brought to court. And after 30 years of the rampages, he only gets 4 years of accountability. And that's what people are saying, that this is an imbalance. Not to mention all the people he may have done something wrong to. So you heard Kid Cudi in court, or we know about Kid Cudi being in court. All the artists that he dealt with. People talk about Notorious B.I.G. People talk about the artists that he maybe had done wrong that he worked with. And all the stuff that he had going on that he pretty much got away with because of who he was. The gun incident in the club in New York back when he was dating J-Lo. All of these things that he's gotten away with for 30 years. And for him to get 4 years is not enough, what a lot of people are saying. I understand. I didn't see any of those things. I wasn't there when any of these things happened, but there have been strong rumors about Diddy for many, many years. A whole bunch of people saying a whole lot about him. And I think a lot of people would have been happy to see him get 10 plus. A lot of people would have been happy to see him get double-digit years in this case. And I understand those people, some of you who are listening to this right now. At the same time, we got to be objective and respect the fact that the law says you're innocent until proven guilty. That is the situation. So it looks like that what happened at this trial, though, even with the judges, what the judge said at sentencing is that the judge was merging his past behavior, whether he was convicted of it or not, and all the things that have been said about him, and mixed that with what he got convicted with. That's how he came up with 50 months. So the judge was actually kind of being nice, honestly. Considering what the judge said. The judge is being a little bit nice, while at the same time considering past things. And some people are saying that Diddy only got away with this because he has money and power and fame and status, and he could afford these great attorneys to defend him. How many of you think he only got 50 months because of his money? That if Diddy didn't have money, if Diddy made $80,000 a year, he would have got 10 years or more? Give me a yes or a no. Same charges, same everything. If this guy was making $80,000 a year, would he have gotten 10 years or more? It's kind of a tricky question because he probably couldn't have even done what he was doing if he was making $80,000 a year. He was able to do what he did because he had the resources to do it. But let's just hypothetically say. Most of you say he would have got 10 years or more if he was someone said being a halfway house. So he might. We'll see. So a lot of people think he would have gotten 10 years or more if he was a regular guy making 80 grand a year. I think you're probably right. Probably right. So did his money, power, status, fame, etc. help him in this situation? it helped him and hurt him at the same time. I think it helped him more than it hurt him. It helped him more than it hurt him because, again, I agree he probably would have got a lot more had he been a regular person. He probably would have took a plea deal and not even gone to trial had he been a regular person, because there's a trial tax. Trial tax is if you take something to trial, we're going to make sure you feel it for even making us do this. That's the court's response, and that's not an official thing, but it's an unspoken understanding amongst lawyers that if you take something to trial and you lose, you're going to get way worse than what you would have got had you just taken the plea deal from the beginning. And at the same time, Diddy having that money, did it help him? Of course it did, because he was able to afford good attorneys, and he was able to at least make enough of a case that he only got 4 years after all the stuff that he allegedly did. So when the public mixes the charges or looks at the charges, sentencing feels inadequate, even if proper by law. And I think a lot of people think Diddy should have got more than what he got. And I understand. I don't even have a counter argument to it. I understand. So prosecutors have framed him as a manipulative master puppeteer, which I think is a fair framing. And he uses power to mask his coercion. And they argue that the defendant's transformation or charity, this is what he tried to argue. So Diddy's argument at sentencing on Friday was that I've given to charity, or him and his attorneys. Diddy's given to charity. Diddy helps people out. Diddy's been teaching a class on business in jail, which is true. He's been teaching a business class in jail, basically giving people game about the business world, his fellow prisoners. And this is his argument. I feel sick. I'm a piece of shit. I'm terrible. I'm sick to my stomach about myself. I got to fix myself, et cetera, et cetera. This is his argument to try to ameliorate the charges or the sentence that he was going to get. I knew that wasn't going to work. When I heard that was his argument, I said, all right, this guy's about to get sentenced. He's about to get something, unless the judge is super, super soft. Now, this sentencing highlighted patterns of intimidation, financial sway, emotional control. The judge considered all of that. And again, the defense has an argument, which is the judge is using stuff that he wasn't even convicted of. Diddy was not convicted of in the sentencing. There is an argument for that, but at the same time, a federal judge has the powers of God to do whatever they want to do when it comes to sentencing. So I don't know if this appeal is going to do much. I doubt it. I wouldn't bet money on it. If I was bet money on it, I would bet that Diddy's appeal fails and he's got to do the time that he's been given. I think that's what this is going to turn into. He's just got to go to jail or prison. He's in jail now. He's going to go to prison for 50 months. Given his time served, and Diddy's got 3 years to do under some form of federal state supervision. So the defense countered that many alleged abuses weren't before the jury, and that Combs' record, family testimonials, time served, because everybody in his family went and testified on his behalf, not testified, but spoke on behalf of Diddy in court on Friday. It didn't matter. And they think that warranted mercy. Now, they argued that sentencing guidelines ranges of 70 to 87 months were excessive given evidentiary limits, and he didn't get that. So the judge actually kind of agreed with them on that, because that would have been more close to 6 to 8 years. He only got 4. So I believe the judge actually was nice, even though I think the judge reached into some stuff that he wasn't even convicted of. I think the judge was actually nice. I think the judge did Diddy a solid here. How many of you think the judge was actually nice to Diddy? Put yes if you think the judge was nice, giving him 50. Or put no if you think the judge was a little bit extra. I think this was fine. I think this is a fine outcome for Diddy. If I'm a Diddy fan, I think the judge did Diddy a solid here. That's what I think. Now, I was not hoping, that's not the right word. Knowing that I was going to talk about this today, I told y'all this was coming. It would have been more exciting had Diddy gotten something, had there been a more sensational outcome, i.e., if Diddy would have got 20, this would be a different conversation. If Diddy had gotten time served and he walked out of court on Friday, this would also be a different conversation. He got something in the middle. So this this is the least sensational outcome. For somebody like me, this actually, I wouldn't even say it hurts me, but for somebody like me, I would have gotten a lot more, this conversation would get a lot more attention had he gotten 20 years or he gotten to walk out of jail on Friday. But he got 4 years, so we're still talking about it. But the judge said that while he considered Combs' good deeds and his past positive stuff, they don't erase the documented violence. So here's where you got to give the judge, you also have to respect the judge's ruling. Because in court, Diddy's lawyers initially came out, their initial argument was, okay, we got all these, they knew that the feds had seized all the tapes from Diddy's houses. The tapes on Diddy's houses showed Diddy doing the sexual acts, the freak-offs, So they knew that the prosecution had that, and they knew the jury was going to know about that. So they couldn't deny that part. So their argument was, well, Diddy's a swinger. He's a swinger, and he likes to do things sexually with consenting adults, and they like to do it too, and this is just what we like to do. That was the defense's position the entire time. But as far as these criminal things, he's not really doing any of these things. One of the things that I said during this entire trial is that I didn't like these charges. I thought Diddy should have got off on everything, personally, based on the charges. Do I think Diddy's ever done some things that probably could land him in court and or jail? Yes. But given the charges, are these the things that he actually did? I would say no. I say no. I don't think the charges fit what he might have done. These charges were kind of weak, but this is the best they can come up with. So this is how we ended up on trial with these charges. This is the best that they can come up with. But at the same time, here's where you got to give the judge some credit. During the trial, all these things that got testified, Diddy did this, he did that, and he hit the girl like this, and they had this fight, and he had these parties, et cetera, et cetera. The defense team never argued that these things didn't happen. The defense allowed, and be careful with that, okay? Make sure you're not hitting anything. Don't hit this microphone, don't hit that bottle, and make sure you're not hitting the computer. So be gentle. The defense never said that didn't happen. The defense basically allowed these things that were testified, and they said, okay, they didn't say okay, but they were saying without saying it, okay, that happened, but is that the charge? Which is what the defense is supposed to do. And at the same time, the judge said, okay, you all accepted that these things happen, so I'm going to factor these things that you've accepted into my ruling, even though that's not the very thing that this man was charged with. And this is the power that a federal judge has. That's why I will say, for the fifth time today, stay out of court, especially federal court, because a judge can do whatever they want to do. They don't have to follow guidelines. It doesn't matter what the prosecution recommends. It does not matter what the defense asks for. It doesn't matter what you say in your testimony to the court before they sentence you. The judge can do whatever they want to do, and they can factor in whatever they want to factor in for whatever reason or for no reason at all. And you put your fate in the hands of a judge, they get to judge. There's a reason why they're called judge. So sentencing in federal court is partly about not only that case and everything the judge wants to consider, but also signaling what's okay in society, because this is setting the precedent for the next person who gets charged. And this is the argument that a lot of people may have as to why they don't like this outcome for Diddy. Because let's say the next person who gets charged with something like this, or the next powerful man who's been known for having money, power, status, and fame, and leveraging it to do things that may not be so great, he goes to court under similar auspices. He can point to the Diddy case. Hey, Diddy only got 50 months. So, hey, why should I get 20 years? Why should I get 15? Diddy only got 50 months. So I understand how this is setting a precedent that a lot of people are not happy with, or it's following a precedent. I think this is more, I don't even think this is setting a precedent. Give me in the comments, do y'all think that this is just more proof that, again, this is not setting the precedent. I think this may be following it, if based on what I'm seeing in the comments here today, that this is just more proof that a man who has money, power, status, wealth, etc., can get away with stuff that the average person can't get away with. And this is not real accountability. Give me a yes or no. This is not real accountability for powerful men who abuse their power, especially against women. Give me a yes or a no if y'all are seeing it that way. I think a lot of people see it that way, especially women. I've seen this since Friday, that a lot of females were not happy with this outcome, not because of Diddy himself. Diddy's kind of been out of the spotlight for a little bit. Diddy's older and he's not the man anymore. But it looks like it's just continuing this line of, okay, when a man has power and he has resources, he can kind of get away with shit that a man without power and resources couldn't get away with. And the women who are the victims of that man, or alleged victims of that man, they're not really going to get recourse from the courts. And Diddy's just another example. Even though he got 50 months. Again, how long has he been doing this? Allegedly. Allegedly, it's been going on for 25 years. He got 50 months. So 50 months exchanged for 25 years, that's a win for Diddy. And just the fact that he got caught. Because a lot of people don't get caught. A lot of people never go to trial. So I understand. Now, some jurors and onlookers felt like he got off easy. We just talked about that. And some juror allegedly told the news, I didn't hear about this, but some juror allegedly told the news that 10 years would have been more fitting. But understand, the jury does not get to recommend sentencing. All the jury gets to choose is guilty, not guilty. The judge gets to decide sentencing. So all the jury gets to decide is, based on these charges, yes or no, and then the judge takes it from there. So the emotional gravity of victim testimony, and the judge nods to bruising visuals, the doors, the gashes, the video of assault, highlights how abuse evidence weighed heavily in sentencing. Yes, it did, even though those weren't part of the convictions. So again, judges consider acquitted allegations and sentencing considerations. Did y'all hear that? Let me say that one more time. Please keep liking the live, folks. We're at 27,000 likes. Like the live. Judges consider acquitted allegations and sentencing considerations. This is why you don't want to be in front of a judge. You could be charged with two things. You get convicted of one of the two. They even consider the stuff that you got acquitted for and giving you a sentence for the one that you got convicted for. Judges can do that. So why would you want to be in front of a judge deciding your fate when they got that much leeway? Especially after the prosecution just spent the last 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever, laying out all the terrible things about you to try to make you look like the scum of the earth. And now the judge gets to consider all of that when deciding how much time you got to go to jail. That's what Diddy was standing in front of with all his lawyers. So the defense argues that using these unconvicted allegations violates fair notice and the jury's verdict boundaries. Is a common appellate argument in such cases. So this is a common thing in the legal system, and we'll see where it goes. I don't think it's going to go far, but it might. I mean, Diddy has very good lawyers, and he can keep paying them, so it might go somewhere. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. I think this will happen very quickly if there's an appeal, because Diddy only got 50 months, so it's not like this thing can stretch out forever. Now, all this stuff, the fine, supervised release, credit for time served, Diddy doesn't immediately disappear. There's still a path for appeals, a path for maybe reducing the sentence. That's another thing that the lawyers are going to try to do. It's not even appeal like they're trying to appeal to sentencing. So they want to get maybe a reduced time. So let's say if they get it from 50 months down to 25 months. He already done 14 months in incarceration. He's been in jail for 14 months. So if he gets 25, he only got to do 9 more months, and he's out of jail by what? What is that? 2 July of next year? So they may just try to get lesser time, a lesser sentence, or maybe try to get that time served. Just get it down to 15 months, for example. He does 1 more month in jail, and then he gets out, and he's back to being Diddy. Some type of compassionate release, maybe home detention or something like that. He just wants to get the hell out of jail. All right. Assuming Diddy lives the way that he talked about in his songs, compare that to being in jail, I think is a big difference. Even if he had to stay in his house, even if Diddy had a house arrest bracelet and he couldn't go outside more than 50 yards away from his house, that's a lot better than being in a damn jail, especially the lifestyle that he allegedly has been living. So we'll see. And his lawyers are going to work on this. They're already filing paperwork probably this morning, I would bet. Now, it is not yet clear what facility is going to serve in. What happens when you get this kind of charge is that the judge, interestingly enough, asks the defense, what facility do you suggest your client be sent to? After all that, so the prosecution brings these charges. You got to sit in jail for a year while they're doing the trial. You couldn't go home. You couldn't go home after the charge. I mean, after the conviction, you had to sit in jail then. Now, after the sentencing, after all of that, now the judge asks you what jail you want to go to. It actually is a prison. What prison do you want to go to? That's what the judge asked Diddy's lawyers. What prison do you want him to be sent to? Now, he doesn't get to choose. It's just a recommendation. So they will come back with a recommendation. We suggest Mr. Combs be sent to XYZ facility. I'm guessing it's going to be a low security facility. I think anyone wants to probably go to a low security facility, something that's more like a, what they call it, Club Fed. Isn't that where they sent Ghislaine Maxwell? So she was in a normal facility. Then after she did some type of testimony just recently, a few months ago, they sent her to somewhere that's a little bit nicer. It's more like a summer camp, but it's a jail. You just can't leave. It's like a summer camp that you can't leave. So I'm guessing Diddy's lawyers are going to ask him to be sent to something like that. And if it was me or you, I guess we would want to be sent to one of those too. So they're going to suggest that. I believe they do that today, and then he gets sent wherever he gets sent. So they'll recommend places that, again, are favorable to rehabilitation, also favorable to safety. I mean, Diddy's not some hardened criminal, even though some of you may think he is. He's not like some hardened street guy that was doing crime forever. So they'll probably want to send him somewhere that's a low security place with nicer peers. So now he want to be put in jail with a bunch of killers. He want to be around some people who did some white collar crimes. I think he'll probably go somewhere that's maybe medium, simply because his crime is not a white collar crime. It's not a paperwork crime. So if you do a paperwork crime like Martha Stewart, then you go to basically a summer camp that you can't leave. Now, if you do some violent crime like taking somebody's life, now you may go to a supermax where you're locked down all day and you're around a bunch of other people who did the same thing. Diddy's in between. It's not quite a paperwork crime what he did, but it's also not some super crazy violent crime that he got convicted of. So I think he's going to end up somewhere in the middle. Looking at what this judge gave him with this sentencing, 50 months, I think he ends up somewhere that's closer, somewhere that's like low to medium security. For those of you who don't know the language, max security. You ever hear of like a super max prison? Super max is where you send somebody who has 20 bodies on their name. They took 20 lives. They go to a super max. They're locked down all day. Basically, don't even interact with other human beings except to get locked up by the guards to go eat food and maybe go exercise for an hour. And that's super max. Maximum security. You can't do anything. You have no freedom. It's not nice. It's not a fun or a nice place to be. And these are people who are in there for 20, 30, 40 years, the rest of their lives. That's super max. A low security place is like where Ghislaine Maxwell got sent after her testimony to the Senate or whatever she did a few months ago. Is basically, again, as I said, a summer camp that you can't leave. Same thing Martha Stewart got. And you get that when if you did a paperwork crime and you don't have other stuff on your record. So if any of you got arrested for a paperwork crime, in other words, you stole some money or something like that, you might get sent to something, that type of place. Low security, it's not a whole bunch of scary people in there, and you have a good amount of freedom. You can move around, you can exercise, you get to interact with other humans, you can read some books, you can watch TV. You get that at the lower level stuff. Then there's in between. So Diddy's probably going to get something that's closer to, I would say, medium to low, given what we heard from the judge on Friday. That's my guess. This is not expert. I'm not reporting this. This is my guess based on what he did. Now, such details. Let me back up. Oh yeah, placements favorable to rehabilitation and safety. So these details influence the practical horror or leniency of prison life. Now, I don't have experience being an inmate in prison. Any of you who does, you do a live stream, you can explain that. But there is a difference between prison and jail. I do know the basics. Jail is temporary, usually a year or less. Prison is when you've been sentenced already, and Diddy's been sentenced, so now he's going to prison. So where he's been is, what they call it, MDX. It's called MDX. The place he's in is in Manhattan. Is a Manhattan, basically a jail. And even though you would think it's in Manhattan, you would think it might be nice, right? When you hear Manhattan, you hear being housed in Manhattan, you think it's somewhere nice. But according to what Diddy's lawyers have said, this place is not nice. That he doesn't like the food, and he's around other people who are jailed, and they're not nice people, and I don't know what's going on here. And sometimes the water is cold, sometimes the water is super hot. He can't take a good shower, et cetera, et cetera. Diddy doesn't like it. He's been there for a year, and probably one of the reasons why his hair turned gray over the last year. And now, social and cultural implications. Many see this as a turning point for how prominent artists are held accountable for what they do and their legacy reputation. I'm not so sure about that. I think there are some people making an argument that they're doing this to him because he's a black man. I think that argument falls flat at this point. I mean, he got 50 months. Most people think he should have got more. So I think he actually got off on this. So anybody making an argument about race, I think you should be happy because Diddy could have got more given the charges that were against him for this situation. So could this influence how public perception of fairness and celebrity justice is looked at? I don't think so, but maybe some people will still make that argument. And the last point, critics of the ruling will argue either it's too harsh or too soft, depending on their lens. The real test, though, is whether this encourages more survivors to speak or deters powerful figures from believing they're untouchable. I think this is what the ultimate legacy of this charge is going to be about: survivors. I think that's what this is going to be about. If you consider Cassie and quote unquote Jane to be survivors, how many of you call them survivors? Give me a yes or no. Do you consider Cassie and Jane? Jane is 50 Cent's baby mom. Y'all can look up her name. Very easy to find. Do you consider these women to be survivors? Yes or no? Are these women survivors? Cassie and Jane. Are they survivors? Yes or no? I think opinion is going to be split on this one. But y'all tell me. So I'm seeing a bunch of yeses. I seen a couple of no's. Connie Moore said, Jane, likes to be kept and says so herself. Well, Cassie was kept for longer than Jane was. I mean, if you're going to say yes to Cassie. Cassie was with Diddy for 10 years. Jane ain't get 10 years. She got a few. She didn't get 10. Chloe said Harvey Weinstein got more. Yeah, and he's appealing right now too. So what I say about them, I got to be careful what I say here because the last time I got suspended on TikTok was when I was talking about these two. There's a song by Chris Brown, the title of which I'm not going to say. And I say that both of these women were having their lifestyles financed by Diddy. And they were willing to go along with how Diddy was living, i.e. the freak-off parties, in order to continue that financing of the lifestyle. I think both of them were with it. I think Jane testified, I think because she had to. I think she was compelled to testify. She didn't have a choice. I think Cassie testified because, well, she dropped that lawsuit and got paid $20 million. Got a new boyfriend who was the guy that Diddy hired to be her personal trainer. And then the feds came, they put their weight on her and she said, okay, I'll testify against Diddy. I don't think she was trying to get him put away in jail. I think that the feds came to her and said, if you don't testify against him, you're going to be a co-conspirator and we're going to charge you and him. Now, she's not with him anymore. She got a new husband. So she said, okay, well, I guess I got to testify against him. They offered her a binary. You got two choices. You either get charged with him and we're going to take both of you down for what you did, or you go against him and you'll get immunity. You already charged him. You already got $20 million out the guy. You might as well testify against him. You already got a new husband. You don't need this guy anymore. That's why she did it. I don't think she was trying to make Diddy go to jail. I think she didn't have a choice. Jane, on the other hand, I think the feds came to her, and again, she didn't have a choice because they brought her probably the same thing, but she didn't sue Diddy. The only difference is she ain't got no new husband, unlike Cassie. And both of them at the same time, though, were being taken care of by Diddy before they went and testified. But this is a reason why. How do I want to say this? You got to be careful who you have around you. Let's just put it that way. You got to be careful who you have around you, especially if you're doing something that you don't want to become public knowledge, that you don't want the cops or the feds to know about. You got to be careful who's around when you're doing those things because people will turn on you. Males and females will turn. Diddy was doing what he was doing with these women, financing them. As soon as Cassie got away from him and got with a new guy, he was in a precarious position because now she has no loyalty to him anymore. She has no need to be loyal to him because he ain't financing anything. She got a new man. Then when she sued him and got that $20 million, now she got some resources. Now she really doesn't need you. And that was it. That's where all this came from. All this came from the Cassie situation. I mean, Cassie was a big part of all what he was doing anyway, so of course it came from her. But this is what I see with the Diddy situation. I think he's going to do his time. I don't think this is going to, if it comes down on appeal, we'll do another talk about it. I don't think it's going to. I think he's going to do what he got, but I may be wrong. Diddy has good lawyers. So let's see where this goes. All that said, everybody, let's get into the comments. See what I got to say about that. Wait, what said, yes, a good lawyer matters. Yes, a good lawyer does matter. Cole Corner says, don't blame Diddy. He can't stop, won't stop. I see what you did there. I'll give you I'll pull my soundboard out and give you something funny for that one. Even though this is not a logical fallacy, it's just funny. I'll give you something since you tried.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Cole Corner, that was for you. All right, congratulations. All right, let's see. South Bay D Storm. South Bay's D Tom said, I got 15 years for a nonviolent crime of burglary. Well, yeah, it's always different in court. You never know what's going to happen in court. That's why you don't want to end up in court. Your Petsy Bessie said they don't care about women. His victims are all men. He'd go away for life. That's interesting. I don't know about that one. Based on the type of stuff he was doing with men, I don't know if you go away for life for that. Now, if there was some violent stuff, then that's a different story. Chloe said with a lesser legal team, he would get more. I agree with that. A lesser legal team, he probably wouldn't even go on a trial. He probably would have took a plea. Michelle said more time, he's making $80K a year. Yeah, $80K a year, he would have took a plea, which was more than 50 months. I forget what they offered him as a plea. I'm not sure they even did offer him a plea. I think they did offer him, but I don't remember what it was. Drinks from Miles said helped him in court, hurt him in public opinion. Yeah, by the time he gets out, he'll be 60 or something. So I don't know how much public opinion is going to matter. I think he'll still be accepted by some, but he's probably got to be quiet. I think you got to be quiet. Tillman said, today's a great day to have a great day. Good morning. LA Mama Bear, thanks for the follow. Anthony Jones, thanks for the share. La Change One. I changed one. Nicer than he wanted. He probably wanted to prevent the appeal. Yeah, I think they're going to appeal anyway. Sandra Edwards 9651. Thank you. Always Amber T. Thanks for the follow. Alex said, I think them declining the RICO charges really hurt the case. Yeah, well, the RICO charge would have put him away forever. He'd have been buried under the facility had they gotten him on that RICO charge. Lisa said, can he get time off for good behavior while incarcerated? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it works on that level with what he's sentenced to. Angela said, so you are okay with him abusing women and children? Really? How did you come up with that out of everything I've said here today?
Strawberry cheesecake.
So this sound
Strawberry cheesecake
is a sound I play when someone uses a straw man argument where they repackage something that I've said or they think I've said into something that I didn't even say, and then they argue against it. As they argue against the cheapened version of my position in some form of incredulity, sarcasm, or they just ask me a question. So Angela D. Twyler, I don't know how the hell you arrived at I'm okay with him abusing women and children. I didn't say anything like that. And he just went to court for his alleged abuse, and he just got sentenced to prison time for it. So how would I be okay with it? And children had nothing to do with this. So let me just give you a straw man again for even saying this stupid shit.
Strawberry cheesecake.
William Modest, thanks for the follow. J. Rocker said, like you said, he wasn't charged for what was in the video. Yes, but what was in the video was presented as evidence in court, and that is part of what the judge takes into consideration, which is why you don't want to be in front of a judge. Fan Sitaye said they didn't have a fight. She was trying to leave, and he beat the heck out of her. I didn't say they had a fight. I said he beat her in front of the elevator. That was not a fight. No, it's not a fight. Nowhere have I ever called that a fight. We all saw the video. Melissa, thanks for the share. Angelo said, I guess money will always win in court. Diddy is a disgrace, and that judge did not serve justice. Well, money matters in court, Angelo, because the legal system in the United States is based on your ability to finance your defense. That's what the system is based on. Unfortunately, it's not supposed to be based on that, but that's what it is based on. Dale said, 2 sets of laws, proof. Generally, this is true. Yes, that's true. You got a lot of resources, then you afford yourself some luxuries that other people cannot afford. I mean, it's the reason why money matters. iChain said, a person that has money can defend themselves in court. Yes, that's right. Well, everyone at least gets a court-appointed lawyer, if nothing else. L Flying Monkey said, if he didn't have the money power, the parties wouldn't have happened. Yes, exactly. This was what I said. It's kind of a tricky question because he couldn't have did what he did if he didn't have money. Adrian said, I could care less about Diddy. So, Adrian, I'm going to use you as an example here. That a lot of people say this phrase. The saying is, I could not care less. It's not I could care less. As if you could care less, then you are indirectly saying that you do care. I don't think that's what you're trying to say. I think what you're trying to say is that you don't care at all. So then the saying is, I could not care less, because that means there's no lower level of caring than where you're at. When you say you could care less, that means you care. I don't think that's what you were trying to say. So
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I'm just using you as an example here, Adrian, but I see people saying this all the time. They misuse this phrase. It's I could not care less. Hand of Karma says, it's not so much Diddy, it's the powerful people he could take down. That's what people said at the beginning of the trial when he first got charged, but they didn't make the charge so big as to encompass other things he may have done with other people in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe on purpose, maybe because they didn't have it. So who knows? Shapatak said, the true victims didn't get justice. Who were the true victims? Shapatak, who are you talking about? You talking about the girls? They were involved. Stacy said he should never be allowed to walk free, period. Stacy, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't think what he did was that crazy because, again, the women were involved. We got to remember, the women were engaged in what he was doing. If you looked at the trial, the girls were often the ones calling the men for the parties. Now, if they were under coercion of Diddy, I get it. That was their argument. But at the same time, they were actively involved. So I don't know if he is that crazy of a person. He found some girls who were crazy enough to go with it. This person with a son as their avatar said, I 100% feel he was charged based on the status. Well, of course he was. User 851 says he should have gotten 50 years is sickening. 50 years? Not even with the full extent of the guidelines could he have gotten 50? Pooh Bear said, not allegedly he was convicted. Well, depends on what I was referring to. User said, judges on the tape. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Stacey said, good thing you only got a few dates left because eternity is going to suck for Diddy. Okay, fair enough. Leather and Pearls found me on the FYP. Shout out to TikTok. Put me on the For You page. Chubby said he probably won't serve it all. Yeah, a few people have said that. We'll see. DJ said, if you're in federal court, you need FU money to defend yourself. Escrow going up for a long time. Yeah, even then, you might still lose. You need federal money. You need a lot of money to have a chance. Angela said, a lot of Hollywood needs to be incarcerated along with Diddy. Well, they got to go to court just like everybody else. Chloe said, well, they'll keep appealing or just one time. I think they're going to do everything they can do. But Diddy got to sit in jail the whole time they're doing it, so they got to act fast. Angela said he doesn't deserve the comforts of home. Well, he does after his 50 months are served, or whatever amount he has to serve. J. Rocker said, like Martha Stewart, Country Club. Yeah, but Martha Stewart's crime was just paperwork. Diddy's crime is not paperwork. So I think he might get something a little bit more harsh than that. Chloe said he was charged with non-violent crime. What he got charged with was, what he was convicted of is, let me read it again, but I make sure I got the exact charge he was convicted of. He was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. So it's not technically a paperwork crime, but it's also not a violent crime. So it's kind of in between. That's why I think he's going to get somewhere that's like a low to medium security facility. It may not be the Country Club, but it's not going to be, again, a place with a whole bunch of hardened killers. So it's going to be somewhere in between there. I think on the lower side of security, but not the lowest, because that's not, it wasn't a paperwork crime. Rather said tax evasion, dude. Yeah, exactly. So you do tax evasion, you stole some money, you embezzled from your boss, you go to the low security place because you didn't do anything violent. You did something that involved physical behavior, then you might get something a little bit harsher. CC said, I have no pity for the so-called victims. Many chose to stay in situations for the money. Well, this is an argument that a lot of people made in the Diddy situation. And yes, they did choose to, but the argument is coercion. And this is a very, very, very tricky argument, especially when you get into court. That's the reason why I tell you stay out of court. Coercion is the argument that, yes, I was actively doing that thing, but the only reason I was doing it is because this person was either forcing me to do it, or they were mind controlling me to do it, or I was so afraid to stop doing it that I kept doing it, even though I knew I didn't want to do it, but I was afraid to stop because this person might do harm to me. So I did it anyway. That's the argument of coercion. How the hell do you prove that? And how do you disprove it? The answer to both of them is you can't. That's what makes it so tricky. And that's why you don't want to be in court under a coercion charge, because this is what they got Diddy on. They got Diddy on coercion, even though it's technically not the charge. But basically, it was a coercion thing that the girls were both involved. They were actively engaged in the stuff that they were doing. People testified they were actively engaged. They testified they were actively engaged. But what they are saying is, I only did it because this guy had so much money and power and fame and influence that I feared that I would be harmed if I didn't do what he told me to do. And that video of Diddy beating up Cassie at the elevator is evidence of that argument. That video, I keep telling y'all this. Every time we talk about this case, I keep saying this. That video is a scarlet letter that did Diddy in. Because that video is evidence that they could say, I felt coerced. And if I didn't listen to this guy, he would do something bad to me. You want proof? Look at that video. And it's not shit Diddy can say to that. Stuff coming out on video is nothing you can say to it. The good news for the rest of us, or bad news, depending on how you look at it, in the next 10 years, AI video is going to be so good that anybody could deny anything, even if it's on video. So it's too early for Diddy. That happened in 2016. He couldn't claim AI. But in the next 10 years from now, somebody gets, allegedly they did something bad and the video comes out, you can say, oh, that's AI. I didn't do it. That's AI. Not real. So that's where we're going. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's where it's going. So, CC, you made a good point. CC Brew, that's a good point. But at the same time, there's a very strong counter argument to it. And there's no right or wrong answer. Ashley said, what were his charges? Well, he got convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. That's what he got convicted of. He got charged with 3 other things, but he beat those charges. Angela said, underage victims not worth harsh time. Seriously. Angela, what are you talking about? Are you responding to the same thing you're listening to?
Strawberry cheesecake.
There was no underage. Nobody underage was involved in this entire thing. Chloe said Miami penthouse jail. Yeah, well, last I checked, Diddy had a house on Star Island. It's not a penthouse, it's just a house. I think it's better than the penthouse, actually, from what I've seen of the house. I don't remember how much time Martha Stewart got, but I know it was club fed, is what they call it. Dunwell said Martha Stewart was, yes, exactly. Whap Bam Boo, thanks for the follow. Dunwell said Diddy should be free. Well, he will be in about 4 years. Chloe said it's not the Hamptons. Not nice at all. Yeah. Miss Mama 3 says, so Diddy is only a tough guy when it comes to women. Got it. I didn't say that.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And Miss Mom of 3, I don't know if you were listening during the trial, but Diddy did some things to men as well. Kid Cudi testified that Diddy went in his house, opened some stuff, opened gifts that he had in his house, and may have burned up Kid Cudi's car, all because Kid Cudi was allegedly dating Cassie when Diddy was still messing with Cassie. So I can't even go with this argument that he's only tough when it comes to women. It looks like he gets tough with men too. And by the way, and not for nothing, you remember years ago, one of Diddy's sons went to UCLA for college. And his son was trying to play football at UCLA. UCLA is a Division I college, a major Division I college football program. Diddy's son was not that talented at football, but he was able to get on a football team because his dad was Diddy. And allegedly what happened is Diddy's son was like practicing or something, training with the football team. And one of the coaches was basically coaching Diddy's son, talking shit to him. You know how football coaches can be very harsh verbally. And Diddy didn't like the way that the coach was talking to Diddy's son. So Diddy tried to beat up the coach. I think allegedly, if I remember the story correctly, Diddy tried to grab like a dumbbell or a kettlebell or something and attack the coach because he didn't like the way the coach was talking to Diddy's son, who should never have been on the football team in the first place. And his football career did not last very long. Y'all remember that story? Diddy trying to beat up the football coach at UCLA? This is like 10 years ago. But that absolutely happened. But then Diddy's son ended up not playing football anymore because Diddy's son wasn't that talented. Stacey said Diddy was gray a decade ago. No, he wasn't. He was not gray a decade ago. He didn't turn gray till he went to jail. When he showed up in court, that's when you saw the gray hair. Now maybe he started to have grays, but he wasn't showing it because he was coloring his hair, and now in jail you can't color your hair. So maybe that's why the grays popped up. He was not gray a decade ago. At least not on camera. Maybe naturally he had already started, but not on camera. Sebastian, thanks for the follow. Impact License said, love Diddy. Fair enough. Connie said, Cassie, yes. Jane, no. Well, yeah, I addressed that. They both were being kept. They were both being kept. I don't understand what's the difference between the two of them. Connie said, I'm saying yes to Cassie because she was brutally beaten. But yeah, she was with him for 10 years before that. And she was doing the freak offs. I think that beating was in like maybe 16. I think she broke up with Diddy in 2017. But she was with him for like 10 years before that. What was she doing that whole time? Marky Man says a willing victim. Yeah, I think she was engaged a whole lot for a long time. Jaslyn Carter, good morning. Michelle Moreland, thanks for the repost. Angelo said Cassie tried to leave many times. When? How many times? And was it testified in court? Leather and Pearl said Jane knew what her ass was doing. They both knew what they were doing. At the same time, they're claiming coercion. So that's why it's such a tricky thing. Because you could say, I knew exactly what I was doing, and I was doing it, but I couldn't not do it because I was afraid of this man. Again, that video at the elevator was everything to this case, even though that wasn't even a charge. That's what makes it crazy. CC Bruce said, the love of money make people choose the situation. Fair enough. You're back. Asking OG said, TikTok stays suspending people. Yeah, I got suspended a lot. But I ain't been suspended in like 4 months. So we've been doing well. Last time I got suspended, I was talking about the ladies from the Diddy trial. So that's why I got to be careful what I said. Certain things I know I can't say. So every time I get suspended, I learn something new. What I can't say on TikTok. Shelly said,
popcorn?
Popcorn?
Yeah.
Not in here.
But you do have popcorn.
But it's out there. You see what I'm doing right now. Did you eat your breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay. After I finish and then I'll walk, I might give you something. Okay. Did you only come in here for popcorn, or did you come in here to spend time with me?
I want popcorn.
So you only came in here for popcorn?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with me. You didn't come here to spend time with me. You only came here for popcorn.
Yeah.
Are you verifying that? Are you confirming?
Yeah.
Oh, so my son only came in here to get some popcorn. There's no popcorn in here, but you can stay here with me and help me talk to the audience. You want to do that? All right. Well, you gotta wait. You know the rules. Do you know the rules? Yeah, he does know the rules. I'll see you later. Son, close the door. Jay Rocket said, I agree. Fine with the lifestyle. Yeah. Shannon Burt said exactly. They knew what they were getting into. They were adults. Yes. And then the coercion comes in. Connie said, unless this ever happens to you, you really don't understand. That's all I'm saying. Connie, I agree. I understand what you're saying. That the coercion argument makes it extremely tricky. It makes it extremely fluid. And then it just comes down to who can make the better argument. And when you're a person with all that status, it works against you. If Diddy had less status, then coercion would be less of an argument against him. But when you have all that status, coercion is a strong as hell argument against you. It's hard to go against it. Asking OG likes to tie. Thank you. You just said taking care of shouldn't include beatdowns.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
You're right. I agree with you. It just sounds funny reading it out loud. You just said taking care of shouldn't include beatdowns. Well, it shouldn't, but it might. Looks like it did. Corey House says, thanks for the follow. Asking OG said, no co-defendant is rule number one. Well, he would have had a co-defendant without even, well, technically he could have gotten a different lawyer. But had Cassie not cooperated, then they would have charged her too. And she would have folded like a house of cards. So Diddy probably wouldn't want her as a co-defendant because she wouldn't have stood and took this case. Connie said, Cassie saw she was 19-year-old. Her brain hadn't matured yet. Now, Connie, I'm going to push back on you with that one. That one I can't go with.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Connie, I agree with some of the other things you said. But this one, she was only 19, so her brain hadn't matured yet. Nah, I can't buy that one. Can't buy that one. She was 19. 19 is an adult. Now, you are legally an adult. We can't play that my brain's not mature yet. So anything I did at 19 doesn't count. No, we can't do that. Amy's Essential said, they are all part of it. What's the stuff that's not being said, and who are the other victims? Well, they didn't had them in the charge. That's how it works with the legal system. Sometimes you're in, sometimes you're not. Miss Mama 3 said, partaking in the lifestyle is one thing, the beatings is another. Not necessarily. Sometimes getting beat is part of the lifestyle. So they might have known the beatings is part of the game. Asking OG, thanks for the rose. Connie said, then when you add drugs to the mix, yes, they do things they shouldn't. Fair enough. But Diddy was taking them too. So, again, very tricky. Jared Walker, thanks for the follow. Chloe said, did I ever see him in Miami? Ever see Diddy in Miami? I seen him in Miami like his shows. I didn't see him like everyday life at the grocery store. If that's what you mean. I didn't see him at that level. Let's see. I lost my spot here. Asking OG said he'll find Jesus in prison and he'll be back. Well, as long as he is alive, he'll be back. Now, is he going to be, what's he going to do after that? I have no idea. No Limit said he'll be home in a year and a half to 2 years, possibly. Karen said 50 months isn't long enough. I don't know. Karen, thanks for the follow. Karen said he beat her for leaving. Well, for leaving that one freak off. That we can agree. You just said how many more beatings that we haven't seen? Well, they testified this. You read the court documents. So everything that got said in the case is on file. So you just have to read it all. And there are people on Twitter who went on, or X, they went on and they basically, transcribed every single word that got said in court and put it on social media. So you just, as long as you like reading, you can read everything that got said. Kickback, thanks for the follow. Marky Man said, you don't want a public defender. In these type of cases, usually you're not allowed a public defender. What they'll do is they have money set aside to hire you an actual bona fide defense attorney. Like the guy in the Charlie Kirk case in Utah, he does not have the money to hire a lawyer, according to himself. So what happens is the state of Utah will appoint him an attorney, and they put aside $1 million for hiring him an attorney. That's not just for his attorneys, but a good amount of that money is for his attorneys. So this guy, Tyler Robinson, who allegedly did in Charlie Kirk, he has 2 attorneys that the state of Utah went and found and hired for him using the state's money because they didn't want to put him because you can't, according to their laws, you can't have somebody on trial for this type of charge with a public defender. They have to have a bona fide full-time defense attorney. So that's what he has. I believe he has 2 of them. So Marky Man, you're correct. But in certain cases, they won't even let that happen. Jadon said, if you can correct, you understand. Yes, I do understand, which is why I corrected it. And I like when people use proper terminologies. When you use the other terminology, you're actually saying the opposite of what you're trying to communicate. I don't think anybody wants to do that. Ashley Mack said, thanks for another good topic. Appreciate you, Ashley. Asking OG said, Justin Bieber seems happier. Justin Bieber, I don't know what's up with him. Looks like he's going to Britney Spears route. Heck says, Chappelle's take on Diddy part is very funny. What did he say? And the cat said the girls were participating. Yeah, I mean, again, coercion. Connie said you can beat someone in doing whatever you want them to. Well, that was the argument they made in court. Gambino said you followed the trial. A lot of those people was willing participants. Yeah, they were, but their whole argument for everything they did was they were coerced. Grilling Hose said judge should have gave him 7 so he could at least serve 5. Well, I don't know. Asking OG said mid-level. Yeah, I think it'll be mid to low just because of who he is. And being famous will help him get a lower level security. And this is his first conviction. So I think all that will help him. Real Talker said at least receive enough time to consider his actions sorry or not. Fair enough. I agree with that. Another said they'll ask for a prison close to the family. That's a good point. They probably will. Gambino said that law was created. Yeah, I know. Yes, the Man Act. I mentioned that earlier on. You might as well. I mean, you might not have been here when I said that. X amount said might as well let him go. Sheesh. 4 years is a long time, X amount. Would you do 4 years? That's not nothing. Chloe said, do you know of anyone personally who did time that told you stories? Not anybody who did any serious time. I know people have been in jail, but serious prison time, no. But there are plenty of people on the internet who talk about that stuff. And what Diddy's going to deal with is not going to be like most other people because Diddy is super famous. Most people who talk about it, they're not nearly as famous as he is. John said he'll be in PC because of his name. Yeah, exactly. Unless he goes to a super low security place where they don't need PC. Christy said, I think the judge was fair. Most people follow probation board guidelines, which is 6 to 7 years. He did 50 months. Yep, that's what a lot of lawyers were saying. So the day of the sentencing on Friday, I heard people on Megyn Kelly's show and also these people on YouTube were talking about this. And when they had people who practice criminal defense on, they were asking them, what do you think he's going to get? They were all saying the same thing. They were all saying somewhere between 3 and 7 years. They were all saying 3 to 7. And that's exactly what he got. So the lawyers who are actively in the game, they all nailed this. They knew exactly what he was going to get. Gambino said that video is what sent him to jail. Yes, indirectly, yes, it is. Marcus said the video proves he is violent. Yes, it does. Chloe said that's the reason they will ban AI. AI is not getting banned. Too much money to be made. Farm Ball said he'll be out in 15 months. I don't know about that one. Lisa said those AI videos look so realistic, it's scary. Well, it's good news for anybody out there doing anything questionable because if somebody videos it, you could just say it's AI. CD's Trucks, thanks for the share. Asking OG said Justin from Iona Prep, D2 talent at best. Is that where he went? Iona Prep? Well, I knew when I saw he was playing at UCLA, I'm like, Diddy's son's small as hell. How the hell he getting playing at UCLA? I knew it was some bullshit as soon as I saw he was at UCLA. Like, his son is little as hell. I know that kid ain't no D1 athlete. And we saw how that went. City B10 says, does anyone else get arrested for helping him with the transportation of prostitution? No, that's the thing with cases like this is that the whole case is about getting him. The case is not about getting anybody else. The case is about getting Diddy. The feds only cared about getting Diddy. They don't care about Cassie. Who is Cassie? Cassie's nobody to them. But they cared about is getting Diddy. Marky Man, thanks for the gifted badge. Asking OG said, you watched him play since Little League football? And he was a D2 talent? Yeah. Okay, makes sense. City's Illis said, you think he's something to do with the Biggie Who knows? I mean, this guy named Gene Deal on YouTube has been talking about it since Biggie died, damn near. Gene's still talking about. He still does interviews about Diddy to this day. He just did one other day after Diddy got sentenced. I didn't listen to it yet, but I will. I like Gene's stuff. He's been talking about Diddy for a long time. He used to be Diddy's personal security. Murphy the Mutt said, got sentenced due to video of him whipping a woman. That wasn't the charge. Well, he got sentenced because he got convicted. But the charge happened because of that video. I believe the charge happened because of the video. Asking OG says she likes the freak off price, still doing it, no judgment. Well, she's married with 3 kids now, so I don't know if she's still doing freak offs. I don't know if she's still doing it. Marsha, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Asking OG popcorn. Yeah, I like caramel popcorn is my favorite. So caramel popcorn and Italian ice, water ice are my 2 favorite snacks. So he's picked that up from me. Well, he didn't really pick it up from me. He got it because he's with me. So when I go get water ice, he gets some. When I get caramel popcorn, I share it with him. So he's asking me for caramel popcorn at 9:30 in the morning. And the Marsha said, let him host. He's cuter. Marsha, you are offending me.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
He's not ready yet. He doesn't have the patience to sit still for an hour and a half like me. About 10, 15 years from now, he'll be doing these lives instead of me. I'll be coaching him. I'll be over there off camera supervising, and he'll be on camera. So just stick around for about 10, 15 years. Pretty Lady said, Alex, fine. Cassie hasn't had to hear all that humiliating information. I don't know how he stayed. Well, Pretty Lady, I think she probably told him all the stuff that she was doing before the trial. I don't think this was news to him. And also, remember who he is. He was Cassie's personal trainer, hired by Diddy. So Diddy hired Cassie, a personal trainer, to keep her in shape. And anybody knows anything about the fitness industry, that a personal trainer-client relationship can be a very intimate relationship. I don't mean dating or sex. What I mean is when you're working with a trainer, you're with them consistently and you talk. Y'all talk in between sets. I go to the gym. Anytime I'm at the gym and I see trainers working with their clients in between sets, they're just talking. They're having a conversation. So especially when the client is a woman and the trainer is a man, the woman will tell a whole lot of stuff to that man about her personal life, her personal business, how she's feeling, what she's thinking. Even if she's in a relationship, she'll start talking about her relationship with her trainer. That happens all the time. Talk to any personal trainer, they'll tell you. So Cassie was probably telling Alex all the stuff she was doing, and Alex kind of saved her, however, for whatever reason, and then he married her, and now they got 3 kids together. I mean, Cassie's a very pretty lady. On the surface, I understand Alex's attraction. At the same time, knowing what she was doing, I don't know. Alex is into what he's into. You like what you like. That's all I'll say about that. Caramel popcorn, Mark, not flavored popcorn. Only caramel, no other flavor. Miss Blue said, at least he's honest. Yes, exactly. At least he's honest. He wasn't coming in here to see me. He was coming in here to get popcorn from me. Ashley said, you start asking him a question of the day for all. Ashley, he's not quite ready for that. He doesn't know what it means. Asking those, you said, Diddy never had a dad. Like, well, Diddy's dad got off to when he was a child. So, asking those, you said, Diddy never learned. Well, he got raised by his mom. So you're right, he didn't. Pretty Lady said he's gonna have to be in solitary because they're gonna box him. Well, it depends on where he goes. He goes to Club Fed, he won't need solitary. Philly Viv said, as a DA victim, no, D or DV victim, I can attest it's not easy to leave your abuser. Fair enough. And they had, I don't know if y'all followed the trial, but they had people who came to court and testified to this exact thing, what you just said, Philly Viv. Is there was a woman, her whole thing is specializing in domestic abuse victims, females, et cetera, and the mindset behind it. So this was all part of the case, all part of the prosecution's case against Diddy, is that it's hard to leave a man like that. Pretty Lady says she wanted that money. She was known to try to throw shade at Kim. Well, I'm pretty sure that's true. Thanks for the follow. Leather said the $25,000 ransom to Cassie's parents got me. Like, what the hell? Fair enough. Carl said, was he convicted of assaulting her? No, he wasn't even charged with that because that would be a state charge. This is a federal case. So that beating in the hallway in front of the elevator, for everybody to understand, that happened in like 2016. There's a statute of limitations on that type of stuff. By the time the video came out, the state of California could not charge Diddy with it legally because the statute of limitations was expired. So Diddy never got charged for that beating because that beating happened in like 2016. The video didn't come out till like 2024. So the statute of limitations was up. So he never got charged with that. And Cassie never went to the cops with it. It was just used as evidence against him for that pattern of abuse and coercion to keep women doing what they do. Cold Corner, appreciate it over there on YouTube. Marsha said, Big Mad True Crime Podcast did a good recap of testimonials from the alleged victims. Yeah, so a lot of YouTubers, there's a lot of YouTube legal channels that break these things down. So I liked one called, I think it's called Law and Crime. So they would do it. There was like this white guy named Jesse. I think his name is Jesse. He would be sitting in the office talking on camera. Then they would go to the woman who was in New York. I forget her name. It was a black chick in New York. And she would be in the courtroom every day and she would report what got said. So they had a whole system around talking about this. And I was listening to them on Friday because they did a live stream of the whole thing, like the whole layout. They did like all day live stream about the verdict, not the verdict, excuse me, sentencing. Boss Man said, who goes to sign up for that gig to be the lawyer for a known murderer? Well, people who have passed the bar exam, and this is their job. Their job is upholding the law. It's not so much about defending the person personally. It's about upholding the law, Boss Man says. It's a good question that you're asking. I think it takes a certain type of mindset. And the certain type of mindset gets a law degree. And an even different type of mindset gets a law degree and then goes and actually practices law. Because a lot of people get law degrees, but they don't practice law. Or they don't stay practicing law. But people who get a law degree, they go practice law. And let's not forget, this is a business, Boss Man says. This is a business. So how much money do you think Johnny Cochran got paid to defend O.J. Simpson? You got to factor that into. It's their job. If you take a job being a lawyer, you take the case. If it's a case you think you can argue or win. And what these, the lawyers who are taking that guy who shot Charlie Kirk, allegedly, the ones who are taking that case, their job is really just to keep this guy from losing his life. Get him life in prison is a success. So it's not even so much about him beating the case. It's about how do we make sure he doesn't get the death penalty. And that's why you would take that. And it's not and for you to say he's a known murderer, I say that's not true. You're not known until it's proven in court. Everyone gets their day in court in the United States of America, and everyone getting their day in court means everyone gets a lawyer. You are entitled to a lawyer. If you cannot afford one will be assigned to you. That is the law. So that answers your question. And those attorneys' job is to make sure that the prosecution can't just run wild on a suspect just because they feel like they have overwhelming evidence. And even if the general public wants to see this person get buried under the jail, the law of the land in the United States is everyone is allowed due process. The due process is everybody goes to court, everyone gets an attorney, everyone gets to argue their case, whether through themselves or through their lawyers, and everyone gets to be heard fairly by a jury of your peers. So that's the law. So Boss Man says just people who have that mindset to understand these things, they're the people who will go and take on these cases. I completely understand it. Even if you think someone is wrong in every way and caught dead to rights on camera, confess and everything, they still got to go to court. They still get a right to speak their piece. And we have to uphold that because if it gets to the point where we're like, okay, we think this person's so guilty, we won't even give them a chance to talk. That sounds good when it's going against somebody who you want to see convicted. But what if the tables turn and it's you or somebody you like who has that same thing against them? You want them their chance to speak, right? Then we got to give it to everybody. So everybody gets their right to say what they want to say. Marshall said he'll be fine in the beach house type prison. Well, we'll see where he ends up going. Too early. Boss Man said no, meaning how public the case is. Yep. The fact that the case is public, Boss Man, is even more reason why he deserves an attorney. He deserves his right to speak in court. That's even more reason why. Because you don't want somebody to get railroaded by public opinion. Because again, it sounds good when it's somebody who you want to see it happen to. Not so much fun when it's somebody who you don't want to see it happen to. So if we got to be fair for these people, you got to be fair for those people. That's the objectivity, the alleged objectivity of the justice system. Now, is the justice system completely objective? I think we all can agree that it's not, but it's supposed to be. So you can at least try to uphold the law as it is. This is the reason why lawyers exist, to make sure that the legal system is doing what it's supposed to do and doing it properly by the book, not by the feelings. Chloe said, why did they let nepotism walk on when they could hurt the team? Well, that's what nepotism is. Somebody who is known, they can get into a situation that they otherwise may not have gotten into because of who they know. Life is about relationships. And football team is so many people. You have one player on there who ain't that good. Is it really going to hurt the team? Not really. I don't think him being on the team hurt the team. He got on the team. He tried to play. It was obviously couldn't play, and he stopped playing. So he got a dose of reality is what he got. Federal court said Dems did Diddy dirty, had him going against Trump. Now he's the only one that can help him. Good point. Oh, yeah, there's also the case that Donald Trump might pardon Diddy. I don't think that's going to happen. If Donald Trump pardons Diddy, I promise you all we will be talking about that on this live stream. I guarantee that happens. So I don't know if we're going to talk about Diddy again. But if Donald Trump pardons him, I guarantee you I will do a live on that. I don't think that's happening, though. Gambino said, without that video, Diddy would be free. Prosecution proved nothing that you was following that case. I generally agree with you. Without the video, they wouldn't have charged him, let alone would he be free. They didn't. I don't think they proved anything that they charged him with. I don't think Diddy was proven guilty of anything that they charged him with. I didn't like the case from the beginning. I didn't like any of the charges. I think he should have gotten nothing. I think he should have walked back in June. But this is where we are. Now, Gambino, at the same time, factoring in everything we've heard about Diddy and what you believe about Diddy, given all his history, do I think this is a fair outcome that he should generally, looking at everything, should Diddy be happy that he got 50 months? I say yes. If I'm just having a private conversation with Diddy, nobody else is listening to it, and I say, Diddy, of all the things you've been accused of, alleged of, all the things you've been involved in, all the people you've been involved in, all the people who said you did them wrong this way, and these people losing their lives, and all these things have been said about you over the last 30 years, for you to end up, after all that, getting 4 years in jail for all the stuff that you did and all the stuff that you allegedly did. Let me be clear. Is this 4 years fair? I say, Diddy, 4 years is fair. Between you and God, Diddy, 4 years is pretty fair. That's what I would say to Diddy if I was just talking to him personally. I'm not saying I have any evidence or proof. I'm just saying, of everything that's been said, 4 years is fair. That's what I would say. Stacy Darling, appreciate you. Marky said, yes. And the thing is, I shave my head every day. I would have hair if I didn't shave. But my hair is not like his. He got a different type of hair. Mine never like that. Boss Man said, Alex, I agree with you, boss. I 100% agree with you on that one. We talked about that a lot during the trial days, that knowing everything you knew about what she was doing with Diddy, you married her anyway. Again, Cass is a very pretty woman. At the same time, show me the Carfax. That's my saying. Men, take it, borrow it, use it. Show me the Carfax. Y'all know what that means, right? Show me the Carfax. Cheryl Smalley, thanks for the share. Ifoku said, does the time he has already served count? Yes, it counts. DM said, anyone with money is going to feel powerful to do anything. I agree. Doesn't mean they should. Doesn't mean they should do anything because you might still get caught. Cindy said, can Duffy, I think you mean Puffy, can he ask for his money act that he paid for keeping the video quiet? I doubt it. It's kind of a bribe. I mean, that actually might be a crime. But he can ask for it. I doubt he's getting it back. I doubt that money still exists. That was like 10 years ago. So somebody gave you 50 grand 10 years ago. Would you still have it? Boss Man said, I hate for that violent crimes have limits of time. That's such a stupid concept. No, it's not really. It's designed that way so that, again, the courts don't have ultimate power. This is all system of checks and balances, folks. Everything we're talking about here is a system of checks and balances. The reason why, even if you have someone on video doing a crime and it's clear as day video, it's not AI, they still get to go to court and argue their case. That's the system of checks and balances set. We can't just railroad people. All right, so we don't want the Salem witch trials out here where somebody just gets accused or I saw you, so now you got to go to jail. You can't even speak for yourself. The United States of America, that is. Not everywhere in the world is it like this. Go to other countries, get accused of a crime, you don't even get to go to trial, let alone do you get a lawyer. But in America, you get this. So the system of checks and balances, one of them is these are the guidelines for how much time somebody can get for certain things and limits on how much you can give somebody so that the courts don't have ultimate power over people's lives. You don't want the courts to have ultimate power over people's lives, even if it's somebody who you don't like. Because, again, you might be the one who ends up in court one day. So be careful what you're wishing for. Asking OG said, every citizen deserves a defense regardless of the crime. Yes, regardless of the alleged crime. Because, again, until they get convicted, they didn't do it. Innocent until proven guilty. Jay Rocket says, not our lawyers to judge innocent nor guilty, only present the law and raise reasonable doubt. That is correct. Good point. The lawyer's job is to help the defendant get what the defendant wants to get. So Johnny Cochran, when he met with O.J. Simpson, listen, it's very possible O.J. Simpson went to Johnny Cochran and said, listen, Johnny, I did it. But I think I did it cleanly enough that we can beat this case. So I want you to argue this innocent. I want you to argue innocent and help me beat the case. Even though I did it, Johnny, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. I'm going to tell you everything I did, Johnny. And under lawyer-client privilege, you can't tell anybody what I told you. And I want you to try to beat the case. And Johnny looked at everything and said, okay, I could beat this case. And that's what Johnny Cochran did. I'm not saying OJ told Johnny he did it. I'm saying he could have, though. He could have went to him and said, I did it, but I want to argue innocent. He could also have went to Johnny Cochran and said, I did it, and I want to beg for mercy from the court. So the lawyer just does whatever the client wants them to do. And it's not always the same thing. So the lawyer's job is not judging. It's getting all the information from the client. That's the reason why lawyer-client privilege exists, by the way, is that you as a client can tell your lawyer the truth, but then you tell them, this is the truth, but here's what I want to argue anyway. So the truth is, yes, I did this bad thing, but I want you to try to beat the whole thing as if I didn't do it. And the more honest you are with your lawyer, if your lawyer is any good, the better chance they have of beating the case anyway. That's the way it works. Philly said, innocent until proven guilty. Under our law, we all have a right for defense. That's right. Mark said, do you have court today? I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. DM said, dirty money, yes. Chloe said, do you practice basketball every day? No, I stopped playing basketball a long time ago. Asking OG said, Trump would pardon Mike Tyson. I don't think Trump's pardoning Diddy. Boss Man said, what couldn't they get him on that he should be in prison for? Again, I'm not saying that there's any proof or evidence. I'm saying, given everything that's been said and everything that's been heard and just what people may believe to be true. And I've been following Diddy. I'm a fan of Diddy, the entertainer. I refer to him more as Puff Daddy than Diddy. I think he got corny when he started calling himself Diddy. I like Puff Daddy is the person that I first started liking was Puff Daddy. But I say, given everything over the last 30 years, 4 years is a win for Diddy. He comes out ahead 4 years. That's what I said. Not with any proof, no evidence. Gambino said, I agree. 50 months is fair. Yes, that's what I think. Federal court said he probably still have those Pac charges coming. I don't think they're done with him yet. You think they're still trying to solve Pac's murder? I don't think so, federal court. I think that's it. I think Big and Pac is over. I don't think that's happening. Samantha said, do you think he'll go back to normal business? Well, he was already starting to quiet down before this even happened. So is he going to be like hosting the Oscars or anything like that? No. But could he still just be outside? And it's interesting. I'm interested to see who stands next to him. So it's an interesting question, Samantha. I'm not sure how to answer that. Maybe if I'm still doing these lives when he gets out of jail, whenever that is, we'll talk about it. Out of prison. We'll talk about it. Because I didn't see anybody stand next to him during this last year. Did y'all see anybody stand next to him? Somebody who's like known. Look at all the people who were cool with him when he was out before this happened. I didn't see any of them really say anything since he's been charged. I didn't see Jay-Z say nothing. I didn't see DJ Khaled say anything. Who else is he rolling with? I'm thinking of like later in the last 10 years. I didn't see Rick Ross say anything. These are all people he was making music with and hanging with and taking pictures with. Diddy just turned 50, 5 years ago? He had a 50th birthday party. All those known people out in Hollywood were at Diddy's 50th birthday party. I ain't see none of them say nothing. So I don't know who's still standing next to Diddy now. If he goes to jail, who's going to stand next to him? I think a few of them will, but it's too early to tell because I didn't see any of them stand with him now. And I understand why they didn't stand with him, but I don't know how much people care about that stuff. So normal business, I don't know, Samantha. It's an interesting question. Marcia said the police are responsible for OJ walking, period. Well, Johnny Cochran and F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro and Rob Kardashian, they are responsible for exposing the police for OJ walking. Carrie, go get them. Good morning. Star Devereaux said, you're not a lawyer? I'm not a lawyer. I have not passed the bar. I've never studied law in school. I only play a lawyer on TikTok. Asking OG said, I played against Sean in high school football. He was okay, D3. Sean who? Diddy? And Marky Man said, what are the odds of winning the appeal? I don't know. It depends on how they argue it and what they're trying to argue. Chloe said he might call you up asking how to do online business. Who, Diddy? No, Diddy could do online business just by being Diddy. Ed said, well, Kanye came to court one day. Kanye came to court one day. So, but he wasn't at the sentencing. So who knows what Kanye's doing? Kanye is kind of unpredictable. I think we all can agree. I don't know if we can predict what Kanye West is going to do on any subject for any reason. Asking those, he said, Oprah, Ellen, what are you referring? Oh yeah, all them people was at his birthday party. So Diddy's 50th birthday party. All of the Hollywood people who you would call somebodies, they were all at his party 5 years ago. I didn't see any of these people say anything to support Diddy since he got arrested. I didn't see anybody say anything, especially after that beaten video came out. Everybody got quiet. So we'll see who stands next to him after he gets out, however long he's in. So some of you think he'll be out in a month. Some say he'll do the whole 4 years, whatever. Whenever he gets out, sometime between now and 2030, he's getting out of jail. And as long as he's still alive, we'll see who stands next to him then. And I think it'll be very interesting because this kind of stuff doesn't normally happen to somebody of his stature. So Asking OG said, oh, he was just Sean Combs. Okay, so you played against Diddy himself in football back in the day. Okay, fair enough. So what else was I going to say? So tomorrow, by the way, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if y'all like this one, come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think we're going to get back to our favorite bread and butter topic, which is Donald Trump. We got off Donald Trump for a few days. So any of you ever thought I only talk about Donald Trump? We haven't talked about him for a few days. We're going to get back to talking about Donald Trump. That's our bread and butter topic over here. That's a tongue-in-cheek point. I don't always talk politics. I talk about whatever is happening in the current events that I think is interesting. So there's a lot of current events. I'm not interested in all of them. But I picked the ones that are most interesting. Donald Trump is the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Donald Trump. Why? Because whenever I talk about Donald Trump, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has something to say. And people just like listening and watching when I talk about Donald Trump. So our favorite topic, Donald Trump, I think we will return to Donald Trump tomorrow. So any of you who's been having withdrawal effects from me not talking about Donald Trump, we are going to talk about Donald Trump again tomorrow. Probably we're going to talk about what happened in Chicago and DHS going into Chicago and where they tying up kids and pulling people out of their beds in the middle of the night. And now they're allegedly detaining black people. And then they're doing people who are not even illegals. And now they're just going to do it to everybody. And anybody who's not a straight white man is going to go to jail under Donald Trump. This is what people have been saying over the weekend. And had the Diddy thing not happened on Friday, we would have been talking about this today. But we'll save it for tomorrow because all y'all will still have an opinion on Donald Trump tomorrow if you got an opinion on him today. So don't worry. Any of you got a Donald Trump opinion and you want to mention the Epstein files, just wait till tomorrow and you'll get a chance to do that. And I get to use my soundboard more. I didn't even use it that much today because it's not really that controversial of a topic. But tomorrow we'll be back to our most controversial topic, our most attention-drawing topic, the topic that draws the most likes, the topic that draws the most back and forth and the most dissent and the most agreement and the most eyeballs, which is Donald Trump. We're going to get back to our bread and butter, doing what we do best, which is talking about Donald Trump. That'll be tomorrow. But we'll see. Maybe something else will happen tomorrow that's even bigger than that. Probably not, but we'll see. Oh, yeah. Get in my text message community. I send out a text message every day called the Daily Motivation. If you want to be in my text community, my number is in my bio on TikTok. Those of you on TikTok, the number's in the bio. Number is 305-384-6894. So send a text to that number with the word live, L-I-V-E. Text me at 305-384-6894. Just send a regular text to that number, and we're going to text you back a link so where you can get some of my books for free, like the Sales Discipline System, the Mirror of Motivation, and the Third Day. We get these books away for free, but I can't give you the direct link on TikTok because TikTok warned me that I can't do that. What is that? TikTok warned me that I can't even give y'all the direct link. They want me to sell the books through TikTok, and since I'm not, they won't let me tell y'all the direct link. So I can't tell you the direct link, so you can just text me at that number. And tomorrow we will be back to the soundboard. Yes, we'll be back to the soundboard tomorrow because Donald Trump attracts the soundboard. That's what happens. When we mention Donald Trump, the soundboard comes out. Son, can you say soundboard?
Soundboard.
Yeah, soundboard. So the soundboard will be back tomorrow, and we'll get to use some of our favorite sounds. Some of these I didn't even get to use today.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Thank you. I think my head's a little bit too big for this.
That's not it.
It's not? And tomorrow we'll be back to Donald Trump. Can you tell them Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. We'll be back to Donald Trump tomorrow. That'll be our topic. That's what we're going to talk about.
Whoa. Come back here with that hat. Whoa.
Yeah, you're starting to get a little delirious. You know, when kids start to get like this, you got to give them something to entertain them. Yeah, tomorrow we'll be back to strawberry cheesecake and back to using the soundboard fully. Oh, yeah. Text me at my number. Again, 305-384-6894. That's where you'll get a link to all the stuff that we give away for people who have watched the live stream. You can find out more about the stuff that we do over here. I am not an attorney.
Where's
My business,
Hi.
our main business over here is full-time coaching.
I can't look.
Okay, don't make so much noise. I'm still talking to my
Whoa,
audience.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Full-time business is coaching and consulting. So we help business teams, we help entrepreneurs, we help business professionals with command of the room, presence, discipline, performance, and systems for your business and for your personal life. Learn more about that by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com or just text me. You'll be in my world. You'll get text messages from us. Some of them are automated, but of course I do respond back to text. You're going to see some automated text, of course, with links and stuff like that. But also I do respond back. So if you get a response back that is from me, that's not from my team, that's not my assistant, that is me, I will text you back.
Put it back on my head.
Okay. There you go. So again, 305-384-6894. And yeah, he's energetic today because I don't know why he's energetic. He keeps coming in here. He's always like this. He's just coming in here today. So y'all are seeing him. He usually doesn't come in here that often when I'm talking. But anyway, I will see you all tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great Monday. Make sure you text me. The number's in my bio. So if you didn't text me yet, the number's in my bio. I will see you all tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Work on your game. We are out of here.